It is the last show of the year. I'm very excited. And Dawn, oh my God, I kind of love that you're wearing sequins. It makes me very happy. I should have done, we'll do this. So to do Kylie for 2021, although the bad news to start with, folks, Kylie is moving on to bigger and better and more awesome things. And so will no longer be part of Team Amplify Lab. We've cried at least 20 times. And then I shouted at her and told her she was completely replaceable, although she's not. Kylie, she has been an amazing part of the team since the early days. And I will always be incredibly grateful for all of her help. But although she's moving on to bigger and better things, you know, we're still going to stalk you and you're always welcome back here. So yay, Kylie, before we start. Okay, with that, let me talk through some logistics, especially for those, although I see a lot of familiar faces that are new. Plus, we have been listening to your feedback about how to make things better. So first of all, a reminder, these sessions get hugely interactive and we have toys to play with. So go to slido.com and type in code 33222 because we are going to be using that to do some quizzing with you guys. Kylie's going to be dropping a link in the chat. If you want to follow or share, I'm at Joanna Bloor everywhere. If you want to volunteer, and many of you know that volunteering means you get one-on-one kind of mini time with me as well. Today, I'm going to be talking about career adventures and how do you start thinking about 2021. And so if you want any help kind of validating where you are on your adventure, because often when I'm working with people, they're like, I think I'm here. And I'm like, I don't think so. You're actually here. And it means your strategy shifts. So we can do that. We're also going to be talking as well today about adventure guides as you prep for 2021. And so if you need any help riffing on who the right kind of adventure guides are for you, you can understand who they are. I'm going to be asking for, if we have time, a volunteer there as well. Last but not least, a reminder to everybody that we do a free one-on-one. It's a 30-minute session where you basically get fairy godmother time with me. You have to be in attendance to win. We'll be spinning the wheel for that at the end of the session. And I know I had some awesome conversations this week with a couple of the winners of those sorts of things. So with all of that, let me just stop all of this because I don't want you looking at the screen because I want us all looking at each other. So as we head into the end of the dumpster fire known as 2020, I think there isn't a human being on the planet who isn't a tiny bit bruised from this experience. First of all, I want to go huzzah to everybody for kind of making it this far, because here's the reality. There isn't a human being here who hasn't had to transform, pivot, change something, deal with crazy, all of the things. So I want you all to applaud yourselves for being fantastic and making it here. I am excited because I'm horrifyingly optimistic to see what 2021 brings us, because I hear from all of you and from the community and from everybody else that I'm talking to is everybody's all like, look, 2020 kind of managed us. And it sounds like people are a little done with that. And it's time for us to manage ourselves. And when I sit here and say, like, what is it? Why do I do this? Why are we here? What is it we want to do? Why am I always jumping up and down about the future you? And it is completely anchored in this singular idea that the more you take control and agency,
my daughter, she's
over
in school.
over the future you, the easier it is for you to be able to manifest that. Because here's what I also know about every single one of you. When you set your mind to something, it manifests. Now, might not actually manifest in the way you kind of anticipated to at the beginning of the experience, but it certainly manifests if you set your mind to it. You all managed to, I'm guessing, graduate high school. Many of you managed to graduate college. I'd say that's a big thing. Many of you have gotten several jobs in the past and have done really well at them. So I already know this is true about you. So quit worrying about that and start focusing on this future person. Which makes me wanna, I know I didn't really talk about this in the volunteers, but I'd love to hear from you all for a second. Like, we're talking about 2021 and crushing it. What are your hopes and dreams, Cinderellas? What are your goals? What are your dreams for 2021? And I'm not talking the I want world peace and a vaccination sort of stuff. I want you to be selfish for just a session and say, professionally and personally, for me, this is what I want to manifest for 2021. Who's up for putting it out there before the year even starts? Go, Trish.
I just want to find the job that I really want to have. I am grateful for the job that I have now, but is not my, I wouldn't even say perfect job. I'm not even looking for the perfect job. I'm just looking for the job that I do so much better than the one I have now. And so that's my goal for before June of 2021.
Ooh, I love even putting an actual date on that too. I saw
Yeah.
another hand go up. Janet, did I see you wave around tentatively, or was that my imagination? Janet, what's your dream?
No. My dream is to purposely set my life for 2021 instead of being railroaded and kind of following other people's paths, to actually consciously set my path for the year.
I love that. I'm in on that game. Pro tip on this one, it's awesome when you do, and I'm a big fan of that whole plan. Who else wants to share? Go, Peggy.
So I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but I'm expecting a job offer any minute. And I want to start the new year in this new place and have, new shenanigans and adventures. And, I'm really excited about it. I'm much more excited about it than I've been about work in a long time. And so also small plug, keep coming to Joanna's sessions. They work, they helped me. It got done. So bless.
Yay. I am so excited for you, Peggy. Because mostly because you sound excited about this opportunity, and that's what we want for you. Just because you got a job, by the way, doesn't mean you can't come back, because we're going to talk about all sorts of cool stuff, and we want you to crush it in your future ones. So hope to see you moving on. Stephanie will do the last one. What is your dream? Other than, I want the dream of getting to sit outside in the middle of December. How does that game work? I realize you have a hoodie on, but you don't look like you're freezing.
It's no complaints. It is very windy, which is why I have the hood and stuff, but it's generally a nice day. So I'm sitting out, and I didn't want to bother people inside. So, so for me, I would say I'm unemployed currently, so definitely employment. But I had been thinking about where I would like to go, and this is a safe space, right? So I'm going to tell.
Absolutely.
I'm very interested in cannabis tech.
Oh.
My background is technology, and cannabis is kind of a wild west. I heard it's a jungle. I've been talking to people, and that sounds scary, but also exciting, because I feel like there's a lot of opportunities, and it needs professionals from people in established, industries to come in and like help figure this stuff out. So that's what I'm interested in. And personally, I would like to get more flexible.
Awesome. Does anybody know anybody who's in cannabis tech who can get into chat and be all like, let's make some introductions for Stephanie? Because remember that whole every decision made about you and your opportunities means somebody knows what it is you want in your bowl and can help you get there. And conversations is where it starts, especially folks when you're trying to pivot what you were doing into a new industry, because the resume isn't going to get you there, because you're not even going to make it past the filtering stage. Okay, so awesome. Again, Peggy, you've literally made my day. Between you and the person I talked to this morning who got a sign-on bonus in her negotiations, which I was almost equally as excited about, it's been a good day here at the Amplify Lab. So what am I thinking about? Well, my big thing in thinking about 2021 and what I want everybody to think about, because I think the swift kick in the ass, among other things, that 2020 gave us is that that promise of you have a job, you have safe security, all of that sort of stuff has vanished into the ether. And in reality, we are in a world today where, as people who are navigating the white collar working world, people are buying your time. Now, that might be, in Peggy's case, they're buying her time because she wants a new job, but even in scenarios where somebody is wanting to have you collaborate on the team, somebody is wanting to give you the plum project. It's all of the scenarios. And my belief is that the more we get comfortable and clear about what is and the value of our future time and the thing that we are renting from each other, the easier it is to A, get paid for it, and then B, actually have fun doing it. Because in this world, you want to be both valued and you want to be able to explore and learn and grow and things like that. You want to get paid and you want to do work that matters. You want to be fantastically ambitious, but it's also okay to be totally humble and work in a team and work on all of those things. And it's figuring out what all of that incongruency is. And this is why I come back to, and let me share with you a little bit of a graphic here, around the whole idea of Future You Incorporated, which, let me just start by saying, you are all the CEO and founder of your own Future You Incorporated. Because you are the person who is actually marketing your time to people. And so the first question when you are the CEO of a company is, what is the product and what do you want to sell? Because here's the thing, you get to choose what it is you want to offer. We had both Trish and Peggy this morning talk about they had jobs. I know for sure with Peggy, because she and I did a one-on-one session. Like, you had a job, it was great, you were getting the paycheck, just the, do I feel important, am I learning and growing? Maybe not quite so much. And so you get to choose what it is you offer people. And so do you know what it is you want to offer? Second of all, in this is, you might know what it is you want to offer, but if people don't want to buy it, nothing is going to happen. So the second question in Future You Inc. is, who needs that product? Really thinking about what problems do you solve and how do you think about that? Third of all, comes into who needs it? Why would they care? How do you make it easy for them to see your potential and understand the value of it? And that means that you need to take what is kind of on the first two steps, a bit of a ego-driven conversation, and shift it. Take your ego, stick it up on a shelf and say, why would I buy that thing? Because that whole decision about every decision made about you and your opportunities is made in a room that you're not in, is absolutely bi-directional. And what they are buying is your potential. And it is infinitely easier for people to be able to understand and value potential when it looks like them and sounds like them. And so if you are selling a product that doesn't look like anybody else and sound like anybody else, which it kind of should, how do you bridge that gap? Then in coming through to, how do you make it easy to say yes? Just as a reminder, Cinderella didn't sneak in the back door of the ballroom. She walked down the stairs for everybody to see. Meant that the prince was able to see her and choose her. So just hitting the apply button on the resume process does not necessarily put you in the consideration set, all the way through to, and I talk about the negotiation conversation I had with a client this morning. How do you make it easy to say yes to the fact that you want more stuff, which she did, which is fantastic. Then you sit here and I come back to this idea of customer referrals on the product of you. Your reputation is as important as your future you, because this is how conversations happened. Literally was texting with a former colleague from back in the 90s. He got a new job recently that's going to be announced. It's pretty fancy. I'm super excited from him. And he was like, Joanna, I need people. Who you got? And so I become a customer referral for somebody else. Are you helping people remember what you are known for so that they can refer you through to others? And if you want to be known for being a good leader, being strategic, getting stuff done, just as a reminder for those of you who are new or have forgotten, those are really boring answers. And so being original enough that people can understand your value, but unique enough to help you stand out is the key here. Moving forward, can you deliver on the great product? Now, I know all of you are well aware that I go, if you're known for getting shit done, all you're given is stuff to get done. You still need to deliver on the product at the end of the day. So have you figured out your supply chain and how it all works? Moving forward, is this a sustainable business? Well, the sustainable business is how is this product going to grow in the future? We've already established one of the things that we are all looking for is, does my work matter? Am I valued for what it is I do? And am I excited and curious about the future and where I'm going and what I might be doing? The sustainable business is, what is this future idea? Because here is what makes this entire product lifecycle fascinating. Unlike a water bottle or a pair of shoes or a pen, well, they change a little bit. You are always an evolving and creative product that evolves over time. And so going through this process on a regular basis and saying, like, am I clear with all of these things and where I'm adding value? Who is it I want to be is a really important process. I will tell you all night now, as of, I think, Wednesday of next week, we all shut down for the holidays. I will be spending my holiday break going through this exercise for myself because I am that convinced that it is important to do so. So let me stop shouting at you. And I want to hear, actually, let me go back here because I want to go to the Slido. Let's pull up the Slido because I want to hear where you guys are in a different format. So my first question to you, based on the 8 steps, I'm curious to where you are. And there are more options than these. There's all 8 on here. Where do you think you are? Click a button. You've got 1 vote. Somebody is, what do I want to offer? Awesome. We're going to get anybody else's votes? Or are we having technical problems? Maybe. Oh, there we go. Oh, all over the place. Fantastic. Confidence. So who needs it? Referrals, sustainability. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, so this is, I think it's fascinating how we are all in different parts of the process, and really being clear about where you are. So then how do you loop the product around? Like, what steps do you need to take? I think is super important. So my next question in this same area, and then I'm going to pull on a volunteer to talk about this a little bit so we can have a real use case and actually some tips on what to do next, is in those 8 steps, you are actually trying to do one of 3 things. You are either trying to build confidence in you and say, actually, yes, I can say this. And again, I'll go back to the coaching call I had this morning. I literally said, when they say this, say this. And I said, and now, and it was some really bold language about what she wanted in the way of her conversation. And I said, when you're done, you shut up. And I said, now you need to practice saying that out loud so that you can say it with the confidence that I do. The second, and I actually think now that we've flipped it around, is clarity. Super excited to see lots of you guys have voted for that one too, because clarity makes it easy for people to understand and see. Without clarity, they don't understand. And if they don't understand, they can't market it to somebody else. Because when you are offering your services to somebody else, it's rarely just one person. They're usually talking to others. And so are you helping them understand so they can share it with others? And then last but not least, the amplifying part of the process. And this is where I come into, you know, how do I actually teach people about the future me? How do I tell that story? And amplifying that story could either be because you've decided, like I did a couple of years ago, that you wanted to create an entirely new product line of you. And you didn't want to sell what you were selling before, and you need to re-educate your audience. For me, this is kind of an ongoing practice. Or do you actually need to get out there and market yourself to people? And I really am using this language on purpose because the new employee hiring landscape means you need to not only have clarity around the product, you need to have confidence in the product, but you also need to figure out how to market yourself. Because if you're letting yourself go in the big buffet of everything, it's like you're letting yourself go on the Amazon shopping and saying, you know, I'm the generic toilet paper, and you are not generic toilet paper at all. So who would like to share their answers publicly and do a little, let's get some fairy godmother magic pro tips on this? Anybody? Oh, we've got lots of hands going up. Well, so Trisha, we haven't talked to you in a while. I'm curious because we heard how you've gotten a job since we talked last, and now you're shifting again. So where are you in the 8 steps, and what is the action of the 3 that you're trying to do? We can't hear you. Can you unmute? There you
Forgot
go.
I was muted.
That's okay.
I am working at a boutique that is full of consultants that do HR consultancy. So they go in, they help companies go from 2nd stage to 3rd stage, if you will, and being able to assist them either with team development, leadership development, or whatever tool that they're not using now. Let's see what we can do to help them out. So it's interesting from that level. However, it is so small. I mean, the core company is 5 of us, and I'm used to working with global companies. I'm used to being a VP and having, 8 reportees and an army underneath me as
Yep.
well. So it is day, night, completely. And it is fun. And like I said, I am grateful for the opportunity, but I am an oval in a round peg, if you will. So I kind of fit, but I'm not as completely comfortable as I would like to be, or doing the things that I would really like to be able to do. Because I like the strategy part. I like more of, let's get the strategy, let's make the strategy, and then let's see how it goes. And so when I'm not doing that I just don't like it.
Okay. Well, so coming back to, that's your situation. So what's the piece? So you have made the decision that there's a big part of me, and I say this out loud because my guess is some of the other people are like, I want to do just the strategy stuff as well. And only because I just yelled sort of at Kylie's husband about this too, because I told him to take his crazy ego out of his behind because he wasn't looking at the opportunity properly. He wasn't
Right.
seeing the potential in his opportunity. Wasn't exactly the same as yours. And I'm not saying you have your head up your butt. He did in his case, but I know him quite well, so I feel pretty confident there. Plus he reacts really well when I coach him this way. So it's a good thing. She's going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe you're talking about him online. But anyway, I come back and I say, like, here's the missed opportunity. So, well, actually, before I get there, I do want to clarify, like, which bit of it are you stuck on? Is it were you on clarity, confidence, or amplifying?
Amplifying, I believe.
Okay. Because you've got clarity around what it is you want to do and why you want to do it. Okay. Helpful. I will get there. I want to come back to, I have a bit of a philosophy, and again, this is for everybody, that understanding where you fit in company size is actually a really important thing, which Trisha certainly has. What I push back on with you, Trisha, is the lack of opportunity to be strategic. Because when you think about company sizes, you need strategy when there are 3 people in a company and 30,000 people in a company. And if there isn't a strategy conversation happening, it's maybe because the people around you don't actually know there's an opportunity to do it, and or the priorities there. And the trade-offs that you are making from, teeny tiny startup company all the way to 30,000 is a bit of the, and I'll use the military language that you said of the Army. I'm actually going to use the Navy. But when you think about company sizes, I have a nephew in the Air Force, so I really should be loyal. But the Navy, all navies actually started out as pirates. And the analogy of pirates really have to exist and be comfortable in early stage and very fast changing companies. And the rules, well, depends on the industry, but the rules have to be flexible. You have to be good with change and all of that sort of stuff. And there's a point when pirates actually had to get organized. It was actually historically in the Elizabethan period. Oh God, which one was he? Queen Elizabeth.
Drake?
Yes, thank you. Was really a pirate turned Navy. But that's when things really started to happen in the whole Navy concept. And as you get a bigger company, you do start getting more structure, more infrastructure, and more things like that. So I come back to, you're saying amplification to a Army Navy type customer. Where in the amplification process are you currently when I think about those 8 steps?
Gosh, I would say pretty much in the beginning of it. That's where I struggle, or that's where I'm at right now. So I could always use some direction.
Like, what is the product at the end of the day?
Yeah, the product is me being able to bring together divergent groups that say, okay, we've got this business goal here, and we need to have these different types of people in the organization, as well as these different teams within the organization. And I'm good about finding the right people in these teams to make all this go so that we can achieve those DBOs, those desired business outcomes.
Okay. That was a lot of buzzword bingo right there. Which is fine because you speak the language of where they're speaking. But and for those of you who are like, that kind of sounds like my thing. Think about yourself like a product, especially if you're in the amplification stage, where the why would they buy is actually the really important question. So you're saying the result is a team optimized to deliver against the business objectives. And the next question I ask is, why is that hard? Right? And I don't need an answer because then we'd get into a whole coaching session, but why is that hard? Why would most companies, and it may need to be a slightly different one based on the company, but why is that hard for X company? And if it's hard, why are you really good at making it not hard? It's really going backwards from this is what my product is, this is what I'm really good at, and where the value is, and saying, what's the problem that I solve and why is that? Because if you can get somebody to start doing this about, yes, this is a problem and it is hard, and we need people who are experienced and have shown results around solving that kind of problem, then they understand the product that they're buying.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I would absolutely challenge you to think about how do you make that language non-generic, because that problem set, like I actually know the answers to the why is it hard and all of that sort of stuff, is a bit generic. Your check in this is to make sure that how do you put that together is original, is recognizable enough that people go, yes, I agree with this situation. I understand that, but also original enough so that it makes it uniquely you. And really figuring out that balance. So just as this is part of the Joanna thinking process when I'm doing the coaching session. Obviously, I help people through that process. And as a potentialist, my ability to go, wait a second, I heard something interesting here, that is one of my superpowers in figuring that sort of stuff out. But that's how I think through, how do you think about amplifying? And it is actually a generous way of sharing, because you're starting with generosity and what is it the other person needs, and then you're coming in and saying it's something else. Okay, so if you can't hang out with me all day every day to help do all of those sorts of things, I do also think that you can have a bunch of adventure guides on your path. And this is another topic I know we talked about earlier this year, but I'm going to come back to this because I think finding your adventure guides, whoops, as I click on too many things, is really important. You'll notice, just as a heads up for everybody, I did not say the word mentor because A, I think it's overused, and B, mentors and just the framework of what they are, who they are and what they're all about kind of come out as these one size fit all characters. Like, how many of you actually are like, I mentor somebody in your current practice? Nobody? A couple of people. Okay. Kay, can I get you off mute so we can chat? So, Kay, have you ever had a mentee, which FYI, there is no such word in the dictionary, heads up, folks, come to you with real clarity about what it is they wanted from you as a mentor? Or did you have to kind of tug that out of them?
I think it's kind of a mixed bag. I've had some younger clients in the coaching biz where the relationship got a little blurry. But they would often think that they knew what they wanted from me. And, and it evolved from there.
Yeah. Thanks. Oh, hang on, we just lost somebody there. Yeah. So this, by the way, is not an unusual conversation. Part of what I think is up for a little reimagination in the whole mentor advisor word is, again, getting clarity around what is your ball, and the fact that you need different people for different things. And I'm going to talk through all of these characters. And as I'm talking about them, I actually have a person, and sometimes even more than one person, that I have that plays different roles for me. I work very hard to make sure not only do I have these people, but they are individuals. Does it mean that they can play more than one role? Absolutely. So I maximize them. But do I expect everything from everybody? Not at all. So the first one, which is, I think, obviously not a surprise to you guys, is the amplifier. This is somebody who is really good at talking about why you are awesome to other people. They're probably somebody who has introduced you for a job. Former bosses, are you supposed to be these folks? Bosses are supposed to be these folks. And so coming to them and getting clarity on what it is they are saying is critically important. The second character, and this is one that I think is really interesting, is, it's just not playing here, is a person I call a mirror. So in the world of product iteration, you don't want to just put your product out there and do the whole, if I build it, they will come. You actually want to do market testing beforehand. And mirrors are fantastic for this. Mirrors are people who you have a trusted relationship with. In other words, they are the people who can tell you things that you might not actually want to hear, but you do listen to. Now, I'm not talking about mirrors being just about critique and feedback, because their job is to say, okay, I heard about this idea. I heard about this thing that you can do. And as somebody who understands your industry and what it is you're trying to do, this is how it lands with me. Is this what you meant it to say? Does it make sense? Is it understandable? They're almost a reflecting back of a message of what you said to make sure it's actually landing. Then, of course, I think the third character, of course, is an advisor. You should always have expertise surrounding you. I am a giant proponent of always having an eye open for these folks, especially as we navigate this really ever-changing business world that we all work in. I'm constantly on the lookout. Like, I have somebody teaching me more about no code. I'm trying to find an advisor in the whole blockchain space. I've had some, I want more. I need to understand more because I think there's a whole change happening there. what happens in AR, VR, but getting ahead of technology so that you can understand how to have the conversations in the room that you are not in, or whatever your area of expertise is. Then, of course, I think you should have a potentialist in your life. Potentialists are almost like they are inventors of the possible you. They are ones who are usually actively ambitious for you, and they're the ones who sometimes annoyingly say, well, you could do this, and you could do that, and you could do this, and you just go, oh my God, I have to make a decision. That's a whole conversation for a different day. You should think about that one as well. If you missed last week's show, we did a show on decision making and how to make that easy. I think it went up on Thursday on the YouTube channel. Feel free if you didn't see it to go back and look at that one. But ultimately, your potentialist is there to future-proof the product of you, to help you think about who could you be. So if you're in the big circle of 8, the who is the future you, these are the folks that get there. And then last but not least, and they are different from amplifiers, are connectors. And what I think is fascinating about connectors is one, often they have to choose you rather than you choosing them, but they are the people who make the introductions to get you in the consideration set. Recruiters are connectors, usually amazing at doing that. They are, in essence, your BD team and helping you actually become part of the product conversation. They do not necessarily sell you, but because they have enough relationship capital with their network, they will introduce you and expect you to sell yourself. And so thinking about who those characters are, and as you think about, like, how do I navigate 2021? Who have you got playing these roles for you? Again, yes, some people can do all of these things. What would I call myself a potentialist and amplifier. You have to be ready for me to be your mirror, because boy, I'm a little rough with the mirror stuff. Here I say you don't have to be mean with the mirror stuff, but I'm a little rough on the mirror stuff because I do call it like I see it. So yes, if you're looking for a hug from your mirror, I'm not your gal. I absolutely have a mirror who is much kinder and gentler than I am, and go through that process. So get the kind of person you need, because of course I can't take my own medicine because I'm a crazy person. So I want to know, as you were thinking about this, and you can pick more than one of these, who do you already have in your corner? Let's give ourselves a grade on how we are doing on Team U and your board of directors to help you navigate the 2021 U. So we have advisors and connectors. One person with an amplifier. So we've got some salespeople, which is awesome. Go ahead and stick through. So amplifiers, yeah, that's fantastic. On the amplifiers, again, pro tip here, make sure you are really clear about what it is they are saying about you in the room that you are not in, and not in they're being an asshole and saying mean things. So often with amplifiers, I hear that the thing that they are saying in the room is, oh, so-and-so is really good at getting things done, which is lovely because it means you deliver results. But what you want them to teach is actually how you get things done, which is a different conversation, which is why I come back to, you always need to be thinking about how are you teaching people about the future you, because that is who we decide to play with. Connectors are also awesome. My number one tip with connectors is how do you make it easy for them? How do you not have to make them think and or do anything extra to help you, is my number one piece of advice. So often, again, and people do this with me all the time because I do try to connect, is they'll say, oh, can you connect me with so-and-so? Or I see an opportunity to connect. And I say, can you send me some information? And then they will send me a note that's for me, not for how do I create something that's easily forwardable, and or considering who I am connecting to. So really thinking about how you're positioning yourself in that process. So how do you make it easy? How do you make it easy for somebody to go either forward or text or something to make that whole process simple as you go through. So really interesting that we unless people are not participating, we didn't have anybody who has all of the roles. And like any business, you kind of want all of the roles to exist. So who has said, oh my God, I don't have this kind of board member, and would like to riff with me a little bit on how to find them / recruit them? Shar, who are you looking for?
I'm looking for the amplifier, I'm assuming, because I'm trying to pivot. So it's a new me.
Right.
And everybody knows the old me, but they don't understand the new me.
Okay. So who are the amplifiers of the old you?
My colleagues and friends, and I guess they would be considered advisors too.
Sure.
Just supporters, right?
But you don't, I mean, that's lovely that you've got supporters. Like, it's always good to have cheerleaders. We should all have them, but it's about action, right?
Mhm.
And of all of your current amplifiers, who have any of them been supportive of this idea of you pivoting to a whole new place?
They're supportive, and I guess it's maybe more me than them. They're supportive and they're telling me, oh, you can say this, you can say that, but I think I don't have the confidence in myself.
Well, that's a whole different issue. Plus, what we're solving for right now is not like confidence we should fix, but actually the how do you, so the you should say this, you should say that, is when you come back to what amplifiers do, is they are the ones who say. So my suggestion for you is going back to them and saying, look, because, and let's talk about pivoting for just a second, because in the world of pivoting, you are selling an entirely new product. And if you think about the product life cycle, like, so Shar, in the product life cycle of you, prior to you deciding to pivot, you had gone through, like, you were not in early adopter phase, which is what you are when you come straight out of college. You're also probably not in early majority phase of the buying cycle. You're in late majority. Like, there's probably still a couple of laggards out there because we all have them, but you're probably in late majority in what it is you do today. Because you're creating a whole new product, you've got to start all the way back again at early majority. And so my recommendation to you is, and it doesn't have to be all of them, just get one person who's willing to experiment with you and say, okay, how do I think about an early adopter mindset of the product of me?
Okay.
And have a working session with them and say, look, as much as I can go out and say this stuff, you have relationships and contacts who you might be able to say this. And if I can practice this with you, then I can have other people share this, because I'm only going to get this an opportunity to do this if somebody else is talking about me. And you need to get it right with an early adopter first. Then you can start talking early majority. And then, I mean, the job actually starts to happen around early majority. So kind of almost be a product marketer on yourself and think about the audience and how you're thinking. And I know that's a really big, it's kind of a gnarly thing, but just get one person who's like, I get why this is awesome, how I would say this. And my guess is in the process, you're actually going to build some confidence in yourself as well.
So just to clarify, if I think of myself as an iPhone new generation, I need to find the person that is always looking for the greatest and the best. Right?
Not necessarily. Like, I think that's a good measure of what kind of character they are. They good with the new and the understood. So, but in the human version of that, it's who is the early adopter of you way back when.
Oh, okay.
Right. You know, one of my, actually talked to him this morning, one of my potentialists I've known since we met when I was out doing sales calls in like 1996, and he was a super early adopter of the Joanna crazy, and is who I still go back to, and I'm all like, is this new thing I'm talking about awesome? He called me a genius this morning. I was feeling very good about myself, which is why I come back to the confidence thing. I'm feeling very good about the Joanna program because my early adopter saw a new thing and was all like, this is really good. I love it. And actually has offered to beta test it with his company. And I just sit here and I go, that's the cycle of really thinking about yourself like a product. And I know I've said product like 100 times, But that's the thing that is the future you and how you think about it. It's just a new way of navigating. And when you sell the right product to people, Trish, as she's established, you have fun doing it. You get to be happy, like Peggy over here. I don't know if she's over here, but she's over here on my screen. You get to be happy and you get to have fun. Like that's the key. And it can happen at every level. If you really want to think through this, I listened to an interview with Steve Cakebread, who was the CFO at Pandora, being interviewed. I posted it on my LinkedIn feed by one of the lawyers that helped us through the Pandora IPO process, a guy named Martin Wellington. And I actually, strangely enough, know both of them through all of the shenanigans, but in different paths. And they were talking about the IPO process and actually said the word fun no less than 9 times, because I ended up counting in an hour interview. Wow. And I was like, not a word I would have associated with IPO, but they found their fun, and that's why they have a good time together. It was kind of a wackadoo process, but anyway, so like that's the thing to hang on to, and starts to make fun feel less like work, feel less like a job and more like fun. And that's really what I want for everybody. Okay, so I've got some more tips on your adventure guides, but before we do that, I too am an adventure guide and give away, as you all know, a 30-minute session once a week at these live shows. So Kylie is the queen of the wheel today. You are now in control to spin the wheel and see who is going to get a free one-on-one.
All right, here we go.
Oh, I don't think, are you here? I don't think she's here. I think she bailed. We have to do it again. Remove the name.
Here we go.
We're also going to figure out how to remove a little earlier.
We don't know.
Oh, Greg. Oh, he was here, but he left.
Here, yeah, he ran away.
I know. We should send him a note, Kylie, and go, you missed out.
Yeah, bummer for you, Greg.
Is Eileen here? No. Oh, we're going to keep going.
I'm getting closer now.
Very exciting.
Attention.
So much confetti.
I know, we know she's not here. We are really going to have to remove some of it. You know what, Kylie, before we spin again, can we just do a quick edit and take the names out of the people who aren't here? Because this could go on a little longer.
Yes, you want to give your advice and I'll do that, and then we'll come back to this.
Perfect. Done, done, done. Okay, so for those of you that are like, how do I recruit more adventure guides into my world? Here are my 6 recommendations. First of all, as we talked with Kay a little bit earlier, having clarity around what it is you want is a really good idea. My guess is if you're recruiting somebody, you already know them. And whenever I'm recruiting somebody into my shenanigans, I'm always saying, hey, before I make an ask, let me give you a little bit of context into what is going on so that they can opt in. And I always give somebody an opt out. I'm also super clear in the initial conversation. What is the commitment? So as an example, as I said, one of my potentialists had a chat with me this morning about something we're working on. And I said, literally text me back your answers. We ended up hopping on the phone, but I'm very clear about what is the time commitment, because time is the most important asset that we all have. And as we all know from making it through this year, being really respectful of somebody else's time, I think is important. Then I also talk about why them. The number one thing I find with adventure guides is that people don't actually believe that they are the one who could be most helpful. And when you are clear with them that not only that, yes, they are the person who can be most helpful, but why, they are it makes them feel great, which I think is really important. And people want to be seen and valued, and helps them understand what they are known for. But it helps them understand how to focus their help and specifically what it is they're doing. This is where, as an example, I wouldn't in the initial ask say, I want you to be a potentialist. I want you to be a mirror. I want you to be an amplifier. I'd actually say, you know, because you are really good at whatever it is they're really great at doing, you're really good at explaining to other people my value, or you're really good at recognizing my potential, or you're really great at connecting people. This is why I want to talk to you. And then moving forward to the last thing I always talk about in the introduction is how can you make it easy for them? And not just and this isn't saying, how can I make this easy for you in an email, which sometimes I do write depending on how well I know the person, but I will give people options. This does not include, by the way, although I know I make you all use it with me, giving somebody a Calendly link to your schedule. If you need to use that and you are asking somebody else for a favor, which I certainly have to do in some scenarios, you need to think about how you are positioning that, because you're making them take an extra step. That said, when I'm reaching out to somebody who I know has an EA, I will absolutely share my Calendly link and say, can you just forward this to your EA? Or if I know their EA, I'll copy on that, because there's not an EA on the planet who doesn't think Calendly is the bomb, because it's easy for them. But how do you make this easy to follow up? How do you make it easy for them to communicate with you? All of those sorts of things. So those are really the 4 core tips that I would say in any recruiting effort. Do remember that just because they might say no today doesn't mean they are going to say no forever. You can always come back and ask, especially when folks get to start to see results, because we like to invest in people who are doing things. The number one reason why, when I talk to some of the executives that I talk to and a lot of other people in my network, why they mentor people is because they want to see results in people, because they see potential and they want to see results. And so I sit here and I go, are you talking about the results? Which actually explaining in the meeting how their help is going to help you manifest results not only helps you clarify the what do you want, but also helps them see how their work and how their time is going to impact in the future. And then last but not least is my fave, and it's what I call the second thank you. Now, I am assuming, because you are all a bunch of awesome people and you've shown up on a Friday to come and see me in all my sequins and all of that good sort of stuff, that when somebody does you a favor and does something nice, you all go, thank you, because we are polite, nice human beings. However, there is power in what I call the second thank you, which is not the initial thank you for your help. It's actually associated with the results. It's after you have taken the advice and done what it is they're supposed to do, following up with what happened and what impact it's had. Now, I've done some very back of the envelope researching on this, and what I have found is less than 3% of people ever do this. 3%, which I think is the most spectacularly missed opportunity. Because the reality is, think about the last time you helped somebody and then they came back and said, hey, by the way, that thing you told me to do has now manifested in something else. It is the biggest driver in shifting people to being connectors and amplifiers for you in the future. Because when people see that their work matters, the same way that when you see that your work matters, people want to help you more, because that is the awesomeness of human beings and how we do. So those are my tips on that. I think we have also, and Kylie, I'm not sure we've dropped it in chat yet, thinking about all of this, all of the questions that I have been asking today around the 8 steps and the adventure guides and how to plan for the future you were included in the link to the workbook. It does, just as a heads up, require you to sign up to our platform. It's free. You don't have to do anything else, but it is where all future programming is going to be. And we're going to be putting lots more up there. So sign up there, and then you'll be able to download the really short workbook that we have created for all of you to help you think about how you go into 2021. So that's there. Feel free also to share it with others. Kylie, are we ready to spin the wheel of awesome?
Yes.
Ray?
Let's do this 2.0. Ay, ay, ay. Here we go. Go. There we go.
If we can't see it spinning now. Weirdness. You'll have to tell us who it landed on.
Trisha.
Awesome. So Trisha, we will be following up with you later today with instructions on how to schedule your session. I'm looking forward to hearing an update from you.
Thank you.
Yeah, exciting stuff. So that is the end of our show, folks. I want to wish you all a fantastically happy holidays. I hope you all stay safe and COVID-free. Oh, shut the door. That's fantastic. I love
This
it.
is my gift to you all. Happy
Yeah.
holidays.
My gift to you all, by the way,
Adorable.
is this is fake lipstick. It's a Zoom filter. I'm just saying. I've also got fake, like Flipstick and Fibrows. They're kind of magic. It works.
Wow.
So yes, it's rather clever. You should check out the video filters. I'm a big fan. Have an amazing holiday. We will be back live again on January 8th. We're doing some reruns of some previous shows, but as you know, you never know what quite's going to happen on this. Do come, invite your friends and anybody else who wants to come. We've got a lot of awesome stuff in the pipeline, including special guests. I interviewed the amazing Shelby Scarborough, the author of Civility Rules, a couple of weeks ago. We talked to a futurist last week who's going to be coming on the show. And I am talking tomorrow to a gentleman called Peter Laughter, who doesn't want to have that as a last name?
Mhm.
When I met him, I was like, shut the door. You are fantastic. We have to be friends. And now we are. So we're going to have guests on the show, think more, David Letterman with stuff. So it won't just be me doing my stuff, but more toolkits, more good things. Shar, we've got a confidence product we're going to be launching in the new year. We're also going to be launching all sorts of other things. So do come back and learn more about it. And let me just leave you with this simple idea. We are all trying to manifest serendipity for ourselves. Like that's what the adventure is. And serendipity doesn't happen to you. It happens because of you. And so you have the ability in 2021 to make as much serendipity for yourself as you want. And so I come back to the singular idea is if you choose future you and bet on you, cool shit's gonna happen. So thank you all for coming. I will see you all in 2021. Give us a shout if you have any questions. Trisha will be getting you a link. Thank you all. Download the workbook, all the good things. Have a good holiday.
Thank you.
Ultimately, we're here to help you figure out how to teach other people who the future you is so that you can be you in the future. Because the clearer you are about who you are, what you want, and teach other people why that's awesome, the more likely you get to be you. I know, it's a bit of a circle. I'm Joanna, your potentialist and fairy godmother, and I wish you the very best. Thanks for coming.